Today I wanted to showcase 3 new projects. So we have the volume, wavy, and Euclidean. So I wanted to work a little bit with volume, to kind of create this weird shape. And the inspiration for that came from a setup by Creative Shrimp, where they used kind of 2 noise with a color ramp that feeds inside of the scale of the second one, right? So I'm not really sure what this creates exactly mathematically, but they have a nice presentation on how to actually work with that and kind of create this abstract looking shape. And as you can see here, they actually use that for the volume one, and I wanted to create something similar. So this is what I came up with. So we have this kind of Voronoi looking stuff, the wavy one, and the voxel one. So I really love this one. As you can see, we can actually see what's happening behind it. So let's take a look at the first project, and I'm gonna open up the volume, and this is what we got. So already this is looking great. So we have a camera, a cube. So I have 2 suns. As you can see, the one is kind of behind it, and we have this blue glow that's going through, and the other one is on the right side, and it gives us a nice contrast inside of the mesh, as you can see, inside of the volume. So let's jump inside of the cube, and we are inside of the shader editor. So there's nothing else, it's just a simple cube, and I kind of went with the same setup that they had, but I wanted to create something new, of course. So I went a little bit overboard with with 3 different noise types, and each having a vector. And as you can see, they are all feeding inside of the previous one. So we have our mapping texture coordinate. So I can scale this down. Or first, a noise texture goes inside of the color ramp, and the color of that ramp goes inside of the vector of the second noise. So this is pretty much how I was able to create this. And to make the hollowness of the volume, I added this last one. So if you pump this straight to the value, you don't really see the inside, right? It's kind of a flat pattern. But with having this zebra palette, we can control what is actually shown inside of the volume. So yeah, this was a nice little trick that I came up with. I added a multiply to be able to multiply the contrast, the density of the volume. Inside of the volume, I added a color, and that's pretty much it. The absorption color, so you can change that to whatever you want. And everything else is set as default. So we have the noise texture with a scale of 3. And you can play with that, and you will always have the different outputs. The details is a kind of an important one, as well as the clarity, right? So if you add this all to 0, you'll get to a point where everything will be very smooth. And yeah, I mean, this doesn't look half bad. It's actually pretty nice. I'm gonna add the light back, and we have now this blue ghosting, which turns to green as it goes through the volume. And I kind of love what's happening here. And one thing that I have to say is that you do need a lot of sample. And yeah, shout out to Shrimp, Creative Shrimp, for this little tip right there. All right, let's jump inside of the second project. So as you can see, we have the same setup, a cube, and 2 suns. And I did exactly the same thing, but the first noise is actually a wave noise. So that's how I was able to create this kind of circular volume. And of course, it's hollow because at the end, I added this zebra-like color ramp. So let's take a look at the scale, so I can show you pretty much what's happening. So yeah, this looks nice, right? And without the distortion, it's a circle like that. So by adding a distortion, I mean, I love the way this distorts. You can actually see firsthand what's happening with the settings when you start, messing around with them. And this is not something you can see on the basic plane, but on a volume like that, you can see that the distortion is applied, all over the volume, which is pretty interesting. I'm going to set this back to 20. The details, which also plays a role, it will create a lot more detail around this distortion, as you can see here. I mean, there's a lot happening, right? It does take a lot more time to render out this, so if you have a lot of details, usually it might take more time and will freeze a little bit your viewport, so just have that in mind. The color ramp, which controls the thickness of our wave, this is fed inside of the vector of our noise, and this adds further details inside of the mesh we have, and a third noise with our color ramp, last color ramp, and a multiply to control the density. And yeah, this looks nice. Let's take a look at the third project, which is Euclidean. And I love how these projects are very straightforward. There's literally just one texture and that's pretty much it. I started by using the Voronoi texture set to smooth F1, and this created the voxel patterns, and as you can see after that, a noise texture with our zebra kind of palette here, and this is how I was able to create this. And I love how the noise texture goes throughout the volume and it creates a kind of a voxel shader. As you can see here, there's squares almost everywhere. And it's like some kind of marshmallow, as you can see. So yeah, this is a nice one to kind of play around with. So you need to play around with the scale to be able to have, the outcome that you want. And in this case, having more details doesn't really work well. So yeah, great series here with the volume. I kind of love how this came out. Very easy setup, but it took a long time to render because I added at the end 2048 samples. So I had to wait like 25 to 30 minutes to actually see the render. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.